Dragon Quest, a series very well known, especially in Japan. It also happens that the original Dragon Quest, at the time known as Dragon Warrior, in the West, was the very first game I have ever played as a child. As such, for nostalgia's sake, I will be answering the next question. Can you beat Dragon Quest Monster the Dark Prince using only monsters from the original game? The rules are as follow. I can only use monsters from the original Dragon Quest. I can recruit other monsters for synthesis reasons. No duplicate monster in my active party. I have to defeat the roaming bosses as soon as reasonably as possible. In battle, I can only use battle items and food. If I can obtain a monster without synthesis, then I have to. Now, this rule only applies for party members and does not include the dungeon DLC monsters as they are not shown on the wiki. I can synthesize monsters into themselves. This is so that I can make my party stronger. I also have two restrictions before I can add the Dragonlord to my party. First, I need to have obtained every monster from the very first game available in this one. And he also needs to have small size for the mage form and large size for the dragon form. With the rules out of the way, I also need to mention this is my first time playing this game, though not my first attempt at a challenge on the game. I had a previous attempt at a slime only run, but I felt dissatisfied with it and decided to scrap the idea after about 20 hours into the game. So, we begin our run by selecting our starter, not that it makes it different as none of them are from the original game, and we will be rid of him in a matter of seconds, so I simply spam click until I get the Fright Bulb, which I replace right away with my first slime, then catch a drag key, finishing all the monsters I can use for the early game. Having only 2 party members, I leveled them up to a level 10 before going to challenge G rank. Yes, I had to skip the Cyclop for now as there are no good source of EXP available at the moment to level up. It was an easy win, and we have the elf girl join the village along with her massive tower. Having unlocked the DLCs, I go straight in the 1-star dungeon where I encounter a druid, now known as a lunatic, and a ghost which I scout. I also met a meta slime, but it was much stronger than me, forcing me to run for the moment. After setting up my party of 4, I delve right back into the dungeon to get the metal slime. I successfully scouted on my 3rd delve. The next delve, I increased the level of my party to an average of 20 before attempting the 1-star dungeon's boss, Calypso King, and succeed first try. At around level 20, I made my first attempt at the Cyclops, but had to run away in the end as we were taking too much damage. Using the 1-star dungeon to level up, I met with the Bag Trio boss, and one of my first attempts, but it did surprise me to find out the 1-star had multiple bosses, as I only ever met Calypso King on my first run. Attempting the Cyclops again at level 30, I once again have to run away, but this time I felt more like I had better RNG than not having the correct stats. So I try again a few more times, and finally I succeed on the 5th attempt, defeating the Cyclops with very low HP, slime, and metal slime. F-Class was obviously going to be super easy given how strong my party was after defeating a Cyclops. Afterward, we meet Virgil, who gives us a key to Makai. Or Nardia in English, but I like Makai better. Now, it is clear that Meowgician is meant to be the OG Games Magician replacement. I will not take one of them for this run, but would you consider it cheating if I took a Meowgician, given the Magician's line does not appear in this game? Arriving into Makai's Circle of Conquest, I capture a skeleton right away before heading toward the arrest boss. I was pushed back after he destroyed my team, except for my skeleton I had left in the back. Coming back after gaining a few levels on my metal slime for the defense bonus, I succeed with very minimal losses. With this, I can advance the main story and go to my guy's next circle, Temper. After the rain stops, I scout a she slime, the red slime of old. I also unlock synthesis, allowing me to synthesize myself a drow and a fight geist. Going to test myself against a green dragon, it is very clear that my middle slime lacks in defense given the amount of damage it takes from physical attacks compared to the health recovered from his fire absorption. Trying to get a proper dungeon to generate, I run out of attempts at creating dungeons, only having two options, a level 3 for slimes only, having 3 under-level slimes won't do it, and the other a level 2 for demons only, but I only have 2 feeds, Draki and Lunatic. Looking at my options available, the only 2 fiends that appeared in the OG Dragon Quest were the other members of the Draki family, namely Mage Draki, now known as Dracolite, and Drakima. While I can create both, the only one that cannot be obtained outside of synthesis is Drakima. So, I created Dracolite as synthesis fodder. It is not against my rule. Then I create a Drakima for my party, followed by a skeleton soldier. After raising Drakima a few levels, I attempt the level 2 dungeon boss but get defeated by a group of abominable snowmen. Then again, I had an incomplete party. Undeterred by this defeat, I attempt the green dragon again. This time the use of poison allowed me to take the victory against the beast. I will need to come back later to recruit it later, but right now, it is not possible as he ignores all scouting attempts and food. Of course, the fight against the dragon Bernie was a cakewalk, and we now have the annoying thief/mage following us now, great. But at least now we have the circle of indulgence open. And now I'm hungry. Are we sure the mage ain't edible? I tried going back to tame the green dragon, but I clearly can't for now as he still ignores food and can't receive any scouting damage. I then attempted to fight the Iron Maiden, but also came out short and was forced to flee. After a bit of leveling, I get really close to defeating her, but have to run away in the end. Doing another attempt right away, I get defeated due to bad RNG. Another attempt, and it is clear that I had pretty good RNG on the first attempt. After failing these attempts, I take a look at the wiki and see if I missed any new monsters I might have missed, and notice I could now add the Chimera and Cosmic Chimera to my party, monsters known as Wyvern and Star Wyvern in the past. Editing Nirala here. If you know this cam, you might have noticed that I broke my synthesis rule here, as the Cosmic Chimera is available for scouting in the Circle of Conquest's higher echelon. I had not realized this until it was much too late, but I was careful not to break this rule later on. Feeling more certain with my newest party members, I tried one more time and failed, but realized my Cosmic Chimera might be the key. Taking a moment to rethink, I also unlocked Fizzle for my fight guys and go back. Near the end of the fight, I finally realized that the Iron Maiden was weak to accuracy decreasing move, which I had assumed she was immune or very resistant to. But still, I managed to win in the end. Of course, Wrath's fight was another easy victory, which gives me access to scouting the Circle of Temper's Green Dragon, which I do by save scumming a little to save on my food items. And with that, I can now create myself a golem. Though I use a stone golem as synthesis, I am not allowed to use it at this moment in my team, as stone golems are found in nature later on. With these unlocks, I can now unlock the Dread Dragon. After getting my new dragons, I set out to level up a little, but I guess I lost track of time and might have gone a little overboard. The Mausoleum's F and E categories were super easy. Doing so good, I decided to go for the categories D and C, but due to having lost my Dread Dragon in the finals of C, I decided to take a break and keep going for the main quest. As while I intend on completing this challenge, I am not required to doing it right now. With this done, I now have access to Makai's Circle of Caprice, Fortitude, and Corruption. Searching the areas for their bosses, I fight and defeat the Cold Dragon of Caprice and Armor from Fortitude, both on the first try. After this, I went to complete the Pentaractic Crystal quest where we have a cutscenes with stone golems, but I can unfortunately not collect them. Of course, the boss was super easy in the Circle of Fortitude. I also fought Percival, need I say it was easy. I also completed the Circle of Corruption quest, but there were no bosses. Attacking Zangil's Hall, we are intercepted right away by a group of monsters, followed by General Chain. While Chain lasted a bit longer than previous bosses, he was an easy fight. We then meet Zangil and receive the next Travelite, allowing us to access the Circle of Fortitude's middle echelon. In here I fought the Knight Errant and won on my first attempt. I will need to come back later to collect him for my party as soon as I advance in the story. Of course, the area's big hitter was another joke, but his defeat unlocked the middle echelon of Conquest, Caprice, Temper, and Indulgence. Right away I find stone golems in the Circle of Caprice and scout one after multiple failed attempts. While looking for the Indulgence super boss, as I had already figured out the other one's position, I entered the dungeon and was attacked by a group of enemies after a cutscene. Needless to say, they were too easy to be super bosses. I later found the boss outside after looking it up on the wiki, but it was not yet spring, so I could not access it. The armored scorpion from Caprice hits too hard, forcing me to leave him for later. Missing Lynx from Temper was an easy fight, especially since he begins asleep, allowing me to poison him before the fight starts proper. If not from the poison, Numesis from Conquest could have been a much more difficult fight. Going back to Scorpion, I used the poison method and one with very few HP left. With spring finally here, I have my first attempt against the annoying Roystering Rooster, which ended poorly as none of my status effect took and I wasted too many turns trying to apply them. In the second attempt, I got him using severe poison, but I hated this boss. After this, I decided to create an aberrant knight via synthesis. I also caught a Dragonlord in the Indulgence dungeon, with only the errant knight missing. I decided to finally create both the Dragonlord's form. While I cannot use them for now as per my rules, they will passively be gaining experience in the meantime. Defeating the big hitters next, none of them pose any real challenge, but unlocking us the Corruption's middle section. The boss of the middle echelon of Corruption, White Whirl, was a bit harder than other main story bosses, but was still easily defeating using automated battle. After a long story segment, I have a fight against a Succubat. She took a few turns, but was an easy victory still. Now we have access to the upper echelon of Temper, Indulgence, Fortitude, and Corruption. Before going further, I decided to go and try to scout the Knight Errant super boss, but for some reason he will still not join me. I will assume the reason why is because I already have a super boss in my team. since the same happened to the green dragon after scouting it. So as to not break my rule, I have decided that I will instead capture mine in the mole hole. Now with this I have every monsters from the very first game unlocking the Dragonlord to add to my party.
これを
Going for Temper Stout Ogre first, I was able to achieve a first try, though it was a colossal as only my middle slime survived, followed by an easy victory against the King Slick Slime. Followed by the 4 easiest super bosses of this run, all of them in the Circle of Fortitude. Axorus, an easy battle with little to mention. Next is Warhog, another easy fight, but I lost a few party members due to not healing previously and not taking him seriously by going full autopilot. Next is Escudogre, another easy battle with little to mention. And finally, a battle against the Meadow Dragon. Who does he think he is, facing the Dragonlord? Going for a Starkisma, I get it defeated. His use of Breath Reflect did not help me at all. I tried a second time and get defeated again, meaning story bosses have finally caught up to the roaming bosses. On the third attempt, I used the might of the Dragonlord by reflecting his breath attack, healing and taking it slowly. I defeated the second third of his Stark. Then is the double boss fight of Indulgence. The first battle was very easy, but the second one against the Unspeakable One was a bit harder, using all of my MP on my true Dragonlord and losing my Aberrant Knight and Cosmic Chimera. The Brimstone Brothers and Ifrin Eagle were easy fights. Now that my party has more defensive options, it would be difficult to pose any threat to me. Barbados was another easy battle, where my greatest loss was my party's MP, though it was a small price to pay to unlock the upper echelon of Caprice. Of course, I first need to defeat the area's super boss, Gumulu Nimbus. And damn, they hit like trucks. Retrying after adding my Chimera to my team to act as an anti-mage, I managed to defeat them as all their damage came from magic attacks. Next is Amon. He destroyed my entire party. Spell refraction skill preventing my Chimera from muting him. But one stood tall in front of the wannabe tyrant, a single metal slime, taking all the hits. Finally, it landed the final blow on the mad priest. With this, we finally arrive to the upper echelon of Conquest, the main game's final area. My first attempt against the Dark Sabertooth ended in failure. Second try went much better as I managed to poison the beast. Lady Venezia, the first of the Elite Four, was an easy battle. She even helped me finish herself off. How nice! Galahad, second of the Shitano, was a more difficult fight but could not overcome the power of the common metal slime. Next of the four Evenly Knights is Beef Drake, another enemy who falls to the might of the common metal slime. And finally, the final Quad Squad member is Cyberfang. No metal slime needed, Kitty just needed a spanking. Starting the assault on Conquest Keep, our elder brother Dolph jumps in only to be so nice he commits Sudoku for us. And now the final battle against the tyrant himself. He was a powerful foe, mighty enough to fell the mighty Dragonlord, but there is one they all fear. The great and mighty runner, the cowardly one, the EXP bag, Metal Slime and his complete immunity to everything. If you were wondering why I decided not to do a slime only run, you need look no further. Now, of course, this is a Dragon Quest game, so the final boss needs a second phase. And I lose as I only had a single middle slime left, but returning I already begin at phase 2 where the fight begin. Now, it could have been a fight that got me stuck, but Randolph was nice enough to poison himself for me and die. With the main quest over, we now have a series of challenges awaiting us. First of all, the final part of Estark. A difficult fight, but a first try still. Next is Wormsworth. My first attempt ended in complete and utter failure. I attempted a few more times Wormsworth without any success. No matter how much I increase my level, it keeps defeating my party in a handful of attacks. Some are even one-hit kill. Some of his attacks, such as Lightning Storm, ignore resistances, such as when it inflicts massive damage to my Thunder Immune Metal Slime. At this point, I have spent over 2 weeks on this challenge, playing nearly all day, every day, and I'm going numb. I know there are a lot of skills I could use to make it much easier, but at this point, it would take far too much time to recreate my entire party with these upgraded skills, and I would like to get to a different challenge run before December. Still, before ending this challenge here, I at least want to show you the finals of the S-Rank Colosseum. I wanted to also show you the Molosseum's S rank, but it is currently not available at this point. So, is it possible to beat Dragon Quest monster the Dark Prince using only monsters from the original Dragon Quest? Yes, absolutely. While I did not finish the post-game due to time constraint, I am certain it is doable. So, with this said, thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe if you like the video.